Welcome to the podcast. I'm Stephanie, and you're in tune with Talking with Steph. In this episode of Talking with Steph, this is the 7th episode, and I'm going to be talking about grief. Definition of grief is feel intense sorrow about something or cause great distress to someone. In terms of grief, for me, you could grieve someone's death, you could grieve a relationship. Grief is varies to different people. So that's my opinion on grief. How it's affected me, when I grieve or when I am heartbroken or when I'm sad or my therapeutic method is crying and speaking out loud about it. Like heartbreak, I cried for like 3 days and then I was good. But yeah, grieving loved ones is very hard, especially like when you're very close to them, and even if you're not close to them and you know them, it's still like a shocking thing. Like you just feel shocked, initially. How to deal with grieving? Face your feelings head on. I know it's hard, because, boy, I know it's hard. But you can't deflect your emotions. Like, you can't deter those feelings of grief. Otherwise, they'll get worse. Or you'll just be burying them and you won't feel good about, how you're feeling, because all you just want to do is vent and ask why, or ask your questions, whether that's to God, or just speaking out loud, or if you're talking to yourself but you're just speaking out loud. I'm sure most people, it depends on the person. Some people like to be left alone. Some people like someone to be there with them, like a close friend or someone to be there with them so they grieve. I think I would like to be alone. Only sometimes when I'm really low, I would like someone to come and chill with me. I know people think that there's a time frame for grief. There isn't. Like, some people grieve, it takes maybe like a week. Some people grieve and it takes years. Like, it doesn't go away. It just gets easier, I guess. So there's no time frame. So if people are saying, a year goes by and people are saying, oh, why are you still grieving your dead dad or something? Like, I know it's upsetting. I would punch them in the face. I will fight. But, there's no time frame. You can't force it, because if you force it, then other feelings and emotions will deter you from how you're actually feeling about the grief of a loved one or a relationship or anything like that. So don't listen to people when they say, oh, after a year, oh, you're still grieving, oh, da da da. Fuck them and their opinion, because their opinion ain't shit. You ain't my friend. You ain't nothing to me. So I say just ignore them. Get some rest also. Like, if you cry like me, drink some water. Get some rest, because the mind is just frantically moving, if that makes sense. Like, it's just very active. So I would advise to get some sleep. If you have insomnia, or fatigue, maybe there's some tea that might help. There's some teas out there. When I had insomnia, when I used to have like really vivid nightmares, there was some like teas and hot chocolates out there that will help with that. If you're religious, pray about it. I don't know, read the Bible about it. Hopefully that will give you some reassurance, because everyone says they're in a better place, and I mean, this world is toxic already, they're in a better place. But yeah, if you're religious, read about it, so you can find comfort in that, I guess. Actually, no, I guess it works for some people. Like, I kind of prayed / vented about it, and I hardly ever pray, so I think it's a good method, Try and be productive also. Like, don't just it's hard, but don't like sit and wallow in yourself. Try and be productive, go outside, do some activities or something you wanted to do for a long time. Like, try and be productive, because when you sit, you lay in your bed and you don't want to get up, and you neglect things, like you neglect eating, and you neglect hygiene, I guess, some people. But yeah, it's not good to wallow, because it doesn't help. You just, you need to be active. Well, you don't need to be, but it'd be advisable to be active. Exercise really helps, I think, because it's supposed to relieve endorphins. Is it endorphins? That make you feel good, like. So maybe exercise is your way out of, or way to combat grief, because people love to exercise. But yeah, it will get easier over time. You won't forget it, but it gets easier. Like, you may cry now, but then, you just gotta remember the good times you have with that person. If it's like a relationship, depending on the relationship, if it's a toxic one or not, you gotta think about the good times you had, all the good memories that you had with that person, and, they lived a good life, and even though you don't want them to leave you, like, leave your life, you have to try and accept it, which I'm going on to the 5 stages of grief. So you have denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Depression, like I said, if you wallow in yourself, then depression will sneak up on you. But in terms of denial, and this is according to the psychcentral.com, the 5 stages of grief I mentioned. I think I went through bargaining, anger, denial, and then acceptance. I wasn't depressed because I was active, like I was being productive. I was sad. Of course you'd be sad, but I was productive, so it was better. For me, anyway. It's not the same for everyone else. Comment down below any tips you would give to anyone who's suffering from grief and who are grieving. Sorry if I say a lot. I haven't done this in a while. And plus, this is like a subject that I was really like, I wanted to do it, but it was kind of am I ready to do it? Am I ready to talk about grief? To friends and family, and to friends who have someone who's grieving, like a grieving friend, and going through the motions, it's really good to check on them. Like, check on the person, because you don't know their mindset. Like, even when you do check on them, offer them support. You can talk to me at any time. I'm here for you. Even though they may not contact you, even though they're not addressing it straight away, it's in the back of their mind. If they're feeling really low, and they call you. Sometimes when you do offer your support and people do call you or message you, just listen to them, because they're probably we're probably ranting, or just expressing our emotions. So sometimes you may even sit in silence. This is according to the helpguide.org. You may just sit in silence, and they not say anything, and you're not saying anything. So just give them time because it's a hard thing. Also, everyone grieves differently. I think I mentioned this before. Everyone grieves differently, so you can't be like, oh, da 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 da, blah blah blah. You can't. No, don't do that, because then they'll not. Like for me, I wouldn't want to talk to you about my problems. Like if you were just like, oh, why are you still on? Like I wouldn't want to talk to you about my problems. Like why are we even friends? You know. So everyone grieves differently. Some people cry, some people don't cry. Some people say they're okay when they're not. Some people are okay, you know. So you just have to try and read them. Like try and read your friends, or try and read the person who's grieving. Like see how they move and how they talk about things. But yeah, most importantly, just check up on your friends, because you never know. They might say they're fine, but really inside they're just bursting, like they're just imploding. Their mind's imploding, their bodies, shaking. Just keep checking. So, like with Carla, she always asks me if I'm okay, if I'm alright, how are you doing, stuff like that, which helped. Try not to stay isolated, unless that works for you. Also, isolation is it could be a good thing, but a bad thing also. It just depends on the person. Isolation might be good because you're by yourself, you're thinking about stuff, but it also could be bad because you might be overthinking stuff and it just depends on the person. I feel like I've said this like 10 times. It just honestly depends on the person and how close they were to the person and when they died and etc. And no one wants to die in reality. Like when I go throughout my day, I don't think of death. But when you think of death, you think like if you to die tomorrow, you think about, oh, what about the life I could have had, or what I should have done, to get me going, or you start thinking of the life you could have had, and that's the scary thing. That's the scary thing when you think about death. That's the most scary. Like, have I done a lot with my life, basically? That's the scary thing for me. Like, will I be remembered? Have I done what I wanted to do? You know what I mean? So I feel like that's something that I think about. It's a very touchy subject for me, so I feel my body just like getting hot. Like maybe it's because I'm wearing black also, but I hope everyone's okay right now during quarantine. I hope everyone's okay. My condolences to people who have lost family members and friends to anything, whether that's COVID-19 or not. Just be safe out here in these streets. Also, if you don't have that support system, then you could always call like Samaritans. I think it's Samaritans. Even though they can't help you like a therapist, but they can listen while you talk and listen to you talk about things, and I think it's all confidential. So I hope everyone's okay. Thank you for listening to the podcast. I don't have the podcast on Twitter anymore because I deleted because I don't really use Twitter like that. But I do have it on Spotify, SoundCloud, and Instagram. Instagram is Talking with Steph. SoundCloud is Talking with Steph. And Spotify is Talking with Steph. But yeah, thank you for listening. I hope the information that I have given you and just talking about it, I hope it helps you, whether that's getting over your grief or moving to the next stages of grief, or whether that's just someone, I guess, relating to you. I'm not too sure. Everyone's interpretation is different, but I hope I help in some way. I'm not a life coach or anything. I'm just a girl, well, a woman, because I'm 22 years old, who is just sharing how it affected me and also just finding tips that may help you get over it, as well as me learning stuff as well, like learning stuff through this whole process. DM me if you want to chat. My Instagram's Talking with Steph. Thank you for listening. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day.